still Lady Andrell on the mic delivering the truth.
And it's Aaron Leroy, your ordinary doing extraordinary, and you're tuned right here to the Rush Delivery Truth. Right when you need to listen, if you want to call in and speak, you can hit us up at 1-877-932-9766. That's if you want to call in and speak. Today, we have a special guest. We're talking about overcoming all the obstacles in life, and this man is an extraordinary man. He's a soon-to-be author. Man, we listen go on, public speaker, man, just a motivator, all-around good dude. Ladies and gentlemen, y'all welcome our special guest, Mr. Andrew Clayborn.
Well,
Mr. Clayborn, what's going on, sir?
Rush Delivery.
Man, thank you. Thank you for having me on today.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. It's a pleasure. I see you all the time on the blogs and on your Facebook and Instagram, always talking and motivating the people, man. So just give our listening audience a little bit about who Mr. Andrew Clayborn is.
Well, first off, let me say, good morning, kings and queens. By purpose, I'm a public speaker. God put something in me from a young age, and sometimes, we don't recognize, our gifts as we're going through life. But it was always something in me, a passion that was in me that I was able to convince a whale that the free water that he was swimming in should be bought by me, because of this passion that burned so deep inside me. And once I was convinced, I was able to convince people, that McDonald's was the best thing on the planet, if that's what I love. So just through life, he's taking me through different journeys, and shown me different things in life, but he brought me to this place of purpose. And that's where I'm currently on, and walking in purpose, and the importance of it, the significance of it. We find out why we went through certain things in life, why we had to endure certain things. It begins to make sense because we have so many questions in our lives that we're trying to figure out. But once you truly connect with God and he gets you into your purpose, you start trying to figure things out that's already figured out. And so, man, grew up in the church my entire life, basically born and raised in church. But I knew it was something more. I knew it was something more outside of just religion. And, it was always that burning question in me since I was a child. Why, as African Americans, do we profess the name of Christ the way that we do? Why are we in church from Sunday to Sunday? Why are we the most radical, but we are the poorest? We're struggling. But when I look out into the world, I see a race of white people, white America, who has the abundance, who has the joy, who has the prosperity, and who has the wealth that the word talks about. And not to get it confused, they are not. Everybody is not in the world. Everybody, has not sold their soul for these things that they have, this lifestyle that they have, and so God began to show me through word and through personal development what we were lacking, and why that was so. Because I never saw them professing the name of Christ, but they had everything, and it bothered me because I knew that wasn't our life. God didn't create us to struggle. He didn't create us to go through a lifestyle of just poor and poverty. That wasn't God, and I knew it in my spirit. And so once he led me down this path, he began to show me what it was. We were lacking the right mindset. We were lacking the actual application of the principles and the laws. We were taking his word and was making it religious and not spiritual. And so it kept us, when we hear something like, greater is he that's in you, greater is he that's in you than he that's in the world. We was always applying that to warfare, or we was always applying that to a supervisor who was making you upset and angry, but we weren't applying that to being an overcomer truly in all obstacles in life and trying to fulfill goals. We weren't using that then. And truly embodying it to realize that literally greater is he that's in us, so there's nothing that can stop us.
Wow.
Amen.
So let me ask you this. What was the area in your life where you knew, like, this is it, I surrender, I'm now in a place where God wants me to be? What was that pivotal point in your life?
Woo! Man, I just had my son, and me and his mother parted ways, and we had got a place together, and it's when I first started my personal training business. And I was in a place, I was smoking weed, you know, fornicating, but wasn't reckless. So I was thinking in my mind I was good. And so, you know, she ended up leaving me, and I ended up trying to foot the bills. And my last month of my lease, I was evicted. I was evicted from my home, and I got a phone call from my young brother Jamal, and he said, "Man, hurry up and come home. Hurry up and come home, brother. Man, they throwing your stuff out." And so I'm driving home, and I'm just like, "Man, God, what is going on? Why?" He said, "Son, I told you to stop fornicating and stop smoking weed." Clear as day, like he was in my passenger seat. And so I got home, and seeing it, it was another thing. Like hearing it, I was just like, okay, man, let me get to the crib. But when I got there and saw it, man, so much rage was in me, so much anger was in me. Like literally, I felt like if I would have touched somebody, I would have went to jail for manslaughter. I was that angry, but the root of it was humiliation.
Yeah.
And so he took me to a place that I needed to be, because now I was in a place of, Lord, I have nothing now. I surrender to your will now. And once I said that, like, and truly committed to it, my entire life changed.
Wow.
Wow.
Can you tell us a little bit about just your upbringing and obstacles you faced during that time, like your childhood and growing up, and how you felt like those obstacles were preparing you for your purpose?
Yeah, absolutely. Just growing up, you know, in rural areas, you know, and not having much. Like you know, a lot of us have grown up, a lot of our stories, and so, you know, of course that builds tough skin. But the thing that it does is truly it plants seeds of discouragement. You know, it plants seeds of lack and limitation. And so you grow up in with a mindset that as long as I get this is just enough. Right. But it's not a mindset of as long as I get to where I'm supposed to be, as long as I get everything out of life, that's where I'm supposed to be. And so we find ourselves continue to sell ourselves short, because in our minds, yes, we may say, you know, God is mighty, God is big, God is this, but it's a thing of us still believing that there's a lack and limitation in our finances, there's a lack and limitation on our opportunity. There's somebody who's keeping us from doing something out there, the man, you know, but in all actuality, it's not. And so growing up in church, you know, it was amazing, because we heard of our sovereign God. We learned about our sovereign God. We was taught about our sovereign God, but we wasn't taught how great we can be through the God that lives in us.
Amen.
And so that's a totally different mindset.
Yeah.
And when you approach like life in that mindset, then there is literally nothing that can stop you.
Right.
Literally, there is nothing that can detain you. Literally, there's nothing that can contain you. And so God began to show me where it was that we were lacking in life, because as I'm growing up and I'm learning how big God is, I'm not learning how big I can be through him. You know, and so it's like, you know, it gave me an analogy. He said, it's like, you know, you've been taught your whole life how great the game of basketball is, but you're never told how great you were called to be in the game of basketball, and you never become Michael Jordan.
Right. Wow.
That's good. One of the quotes that you use often is, "It's not a look, it's a lifestyle." Can you explain that a little bit?
Absolutely. When I was going through my transformation, my physical transformation, I always played sports. I was always the big athletic guy. I was the big boy that can run fast. I was always that guy.
You big? Are you fast for a big guy?
Right.
Like, is that a compliment? Or?
Right, absolutely. And so I got to a point where I was just, enough was enough. You know, I was 300 pounds, low self-esteem, low confidence, high blood pressure, man boobs, you know. You know, and enough was enough. And so I just told God, man, I just want to be healthy. I just want to be healthy. And I kept telling God, like, I just want to be healthy. I just want to be healthy. And so he began to take me through this transformation. And the you know, just to speed it up, you know, we'll go back and touch on that. When I got to a point of being in shape and being physically fit and looking the way that I did, it wasn't attributed to me wanting to look like that. It was attributed to me going after the lifestyle. And so he showed me that so many times we want to look successful. We want to look
Right.
healthy. We want to
That's
look
good.
a certain way. But in all actuality, we're not embodying that thing. So we can never truly hang on to it.
Right.
We can never sustain it. It'll only be for a period. But I've been able to be healthy these last 7 years of my life since I
Wow.
made that switch, because I embodied the lifestyle. Walk with Christ is a lifestyle.
Right.
It's not the words you know. It's not the things that you do occasionally. It's
Yeah.
what you do every single day. It's a lifestyle.
Wow. We often say up here a lot of times it's not the right words, but the right life you live. You know what I mean? I think a lot of times we can express that, but do you believe what you truly express?
Absolutely.
And I think a lot of times that's a struggle for a lot of individuals. Explain the process when you said, I know in one of your blogs, you said that you had cut out everything for a year. You said you didn't do sex. You said you quit drinking, all these aspects. How did you discipline yourself to do that? Because, you know, nowadays living in the 21st century, people feel, hey, that's impossible to do, but you actually did that. Can you explain to our listening audience how you did that?
Absolutely, and that stemmed from when I went through that eviction, and he moved. I had to basically put my stuff in storage and move back in with my mom. But at the time, she didn't have no water. You know, her electricity was about to be cut off. She didn't have any gas. You know, we didn't have any heat. I mean, literally, he took me to that bottle. You know, but through research, he showed me that a seed can only germinate in a dark place. You know, a seed can only grow in a dark place. And so he put me in a place where it was only him and I. You know, and in that time, you know, we try to do things. We think that we're capable of doing things like stop smoking, stop fornicating, stop. It's like, yes, you know, it takes an effort from us, but in all actuality, the closer that we get to God, those things have to fall off.
Yes.
You know, and that's what begins to happen. I began to cultivate a relationship in Him. And truly begin to pour myself out into Him in every facet of my life, and those things begin to fall away. Of course, you know, though you have challenges, you're tested. Absolutely, everything, that temptation comes, you know. But I began to separate myself from those people and from those things.
Listen, we got a lot more with Andrew Clayborn. Y'all stay right here on TalkToMeRadio.com.